Hello, everyone. Today is May 1st, 2024. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. Okay, so we have a few things. Looks like there are some review comments that we want to talk about first.
On the CAP?
Yeah, you sent us some new comments. I did not read them, so yeah, if you can.
Okay, yeah. So the summary is there were questions about whether having a length and a metadata type on every, or having the metadata type and then having a length on all the blocks was really the most efficient way to transmit the metadata. And I remember we discussed this very early on in the design review.
Right.
And we kind of came around to the view that, like, yeah, this will probably work. And then we started focusing on all the other stuff that took a long time to sort out. Never came back to this one. So let's see, who was the commenter? Stefan?
I don't know who.
Stefan, I don't know who he is.
Is he I don't know. Yeah, not clear.
I've seen him around in Xing storage. So I mean,
Okay.
but he makes a reasonable point that, like, this interface is not really ideal for anyone. Its main benefit is that it's pretty simple to implement and describe. But he was suggesting that, like, we could do better. So, we've already merged.
In fact, the CSI spec, is that where?
Yeah.
Which part is okay?
Yeah, this is in the exact, like the protocol for how the SP will communicate the blocks to a backup software in terms of exactly what gets transmitted on the wire in those long arrays. And the proposal was, like, there's got to be a better or more efficient representation. And I kind of agree with that criticism, but to specify that more efficient representation would be more complicated. And the question is, and so my argument was, we were optimizing for simplicity in the alpha version, but we may want to revisit the exact design. The thing is, I don't have enough experience with backup software or other storage implementations to know, like, who would use variable length blocks. Like, how unusual is it to have fixed length blocks? Could we have a design where we just say, like, all the blocks are of a specific size, and then transmit a list of offsets without repeating the size field, thereby cutting the data down by half? Something like that,
Yeah. Well, so there are two, at least my exposure, right, is that there are two prevalent styles. VMware, for example, uses extent maps, and extent maps are very efficient. If there are small changes and they're widely distributed, or even if there are lots of huge change, right? And then it just coalesces a whole bunch of things together, right? The other style is fixed length blocks, right, which just enumerates blocks. The fixed length block style, right, has an advantage. If you don't have any other thing other than just knowing which block addresses are modified, it's very efficient to track it by simply, maintaining a bitmap, for example.
Right.
So, as a practical example, right, software I've written deals in both styles because I deal in both styles. And internally, I maintain a canonical style, and I map either style to that. I mean, because I'm not going to write software in multiple ways. That's an input source. So I don't know exactly how to respond to this. I don't want to pick sides. You know what I mean?
Well, so I think the point was, in the case of fixed size blocks, we should have a data format that just returns the block offsets instead of repeating the size field over and over and over again, because that's going to waste space on the wire. I think that was the fundamental criticism for fixed block.
That could definitely be done. But again, do we? I looked at the RPC spec. I don't know if there's any good union type or anything, or would we have 4 sets of APIs? It's like.
Oh no, there's absolutely union types. I think you just have different messages, and they can be absent or present within the same message.
Okay.
So I mean, like, You can have messages inside messages inside messages with
Sure.
lots of optional fields. And so you can say, if the type is this, then read this message. If the type is that, read this message.
I just didn't know if it was overwhelming. At the point in time when we were writing the spec, it might have been overwhelming. Maybe, yeah, as you said, it might be good feedback for post alpha. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's the argument excuse me, in favor of what we did, which was simple and was guaranteed to work. An attempt to do something more efficient would have resulted in more complexity in the spec, probably more argument. So for an alpha, I think it's fine, but we should think about, can we do this better? And I think that the other thing, in case it wasn't clear, is he wanted some sort of assurance that the type applied to the whole volume or the whole snapshot. Because he had a concern that, like, you could make multiple calls for the same snapshot and get different styles.
I think somewhere in the spec it says that for a given session, right, it cannot change. So in that stream, that's it.
Right. So that was what I pointed out, is within a stream, which could include all the metadata for a pair of snapshots, it can't change.
Correct.
But if the stream were to get interrupted and you were to come back and start again, in theory, the CSI spec permits you to switch halfway through, which would be weird.
Which would be weird.
So maybe we could sharpen that up somehow and just say, you know what, we don't actually want anyone to ever. We want you to commit to one style or the other and then stick with it.
Yeah.
Or some large, maybe for a whole volume, maybe for a whole snapshot, maybe even for the whole plugin, right? Good to say, look, your plugin has to pick one way or the other and then stick with that.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
But I don't think any of these are showstoppers. They're just good feedback around, the on the wire protocol could be more efficient if we want to spend the time on that.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. That was the outcome of that one thread.
Mm-hmm.
So Xing, were there other comments you want to delve into? Anything else?
Yeah, I have not read those, so I need to go over this and see. Okay, so we'll review comments. And so we actually have the new repo created now.
Oh, we do? That's good.
Yeah, but I think you, so Carl and Prasad, you are not a Kubernetes org member. So I think they have some.
Oh, yeah. So Mark Levy said he's in the process of getting the documentation in for that.
Oh, that's not a documentation problem. That's, you need to apply for it and need to get approved by the community, right? You are not, so it's this one.
Okay, I have no idea what this is then, yeah.
Yeah, so basically okay, so what happens, what you can do is maybe you and Prasad can start to make some PRs, then we can use that, then you can apply for a membership. There is a place in, I can show that to you. Maybe once you started to submit some PRs, I can show.
But Xing, the legal steps have to be completed before that, right?
I thought they are.
Like it is a separate process, but
yeah, but I thought
the legal one is the first step.
I know, but
submit a
the
PR.
CSI spec already merged, isn't it? That means you already got the legal approval, right?
That's for CSI. That's different from the Kubernetes.
That's
totally different legal agreement.
Okay, all right. All right. I don't know that you actually have a different one from Kubernetes. Okay, so all
It's
right.
one of the problems with CSI is that it's legally structured as a completely independent
I thought
organization.
when they apply for the approval, it's for everything together. I did not know you actually need separate ones. Okay.
It's because CSI was originally independent of Kubernetes. And
I know,
now that
but I'm just saying they already like they applied for contributing to that repo. So I thought they will be like apply for multiple repos, not just like one at a time, right? That's just okay.
I mean, in principle, the lawyers should be able to crank through it pretty easily, but every company is different.
Okay, so basically, so only Ivan can. Ivan is not here, but he can actually. Did he join? So Ivan can start doing some stuff. So you basically saying you cannot do anything yet. Oops. Okay, so he can actually start working on this report now. Okay, so next one, working group snapshot. So I think we how do you restore? I think we are doing some. We have some reviews there, and then you have some comments. I think I pinned. I don't know. I need to pin Michelle. Not sure where she is. So I was just having this one question. Yeah, I think functionality wise it's the same, but I thought in the API they normally want to use that thing to say it's an object reference or something. So, but I have not heard.
Well, object references make sense when it could be one of many kinds of objects. If it's always a certain kind, then the only thing that matters is namespace and object name. And if it's a non-namespaced object, then the namespace doesn't matter. Or if it's a local reference, because the two objects must be in the same
Yeah, but they
namespace.
do have, I'm just saying they do have this type, right? So they do have this exist. I'm just thinking, they have a reason. Otherwise, why do they even bother? You see this one?
No. The reason is because there's plenty of objects where the field can be populated with multiple kinds. Like
No,
data
this one does not have
right?
different kind. See, so there are different references. This is local object reference. You only need to specify string. That's the only field. And then there's typed local reference, which you have the kind.
Oh.
And then there is another one. There is like object.
Okay.
There's three. That's
Okay.
why. So I thought since
No. Okay.
yeah.
This is me being confused then.
Yeah.
I when I saw object reference, I assumed it was typed. If it's not typed, then I'm absolutely fine with it.
Yeah, this one is like the most elaborate one.
Okay.
And this one is minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
An object reference is just the name is perfectly reasonable.
okay.
I hallucinated that the typed was in there.
Okay, yeah, you are thinking about this one. Yeah. This
Yes.
one we don't need. So he changed it to this one. Yeah. So
Okay.
if you're fine, then we can maybe just ask. Then we can just okay.
My apologies.
Oh no. I think this is confusing for me too, because it's the same functional wise it's the same. Okay. If that's the case, maybe if you can comment, just say you're okay with it, then we can.
Yeah, I'll have to go find that thread again.
Okay, yeah, I'll put this in your chat some later.
Yeah, maybe send me the link in Slack and I'll open it up and comment again.
Yeah, we can maybe just try to move forward, but yeah, it would be great if we can get Michelle, but I don't know if she's in or have not been able to get hold of her. Okay, now that's that one. And then there was another thing, this is okay, so I want to bring this up, right? So this is I think someone from the API machinery. So she actually submitted this thing, which those which I did not know this one. Right? So the new things they just added those. You can actually just add those rules, so we don't have to enforce them through the webhook anymore. It's already there. If you add those things, right? add those markers. And then when you build your the manifest, right? So I tried this, I run this one. So those will be added in your manifest. So for example, even we have one for voting group snapshot has something there. Yeah, a lot of those are, yeah, those are fine, but I think it's somewhere. Oh no, it's actually here, sorry. Is it this one? Classes, maybe not classes, maybe it's here. It has some examples. So I think there is somewhere we have this, you have to specify one, and after you specify it, it's immutable, something like that, right? So I think here we have one, right? So here, right? So this is immutable. Volume handle. Okay, this one I may need to take a look. It says volume handle, but here we have volume snapshot handle. Okay, volume handle. Okay, this is the volume handle, and those are. And then this should have something for this one. I'm not seeing. Okay, so this is maybe just immutable, but maybe I should look at. Oh yeah, this is the one. No, this is not still the same. This one basically says you need to specify both name and namespace for this ref, right? Yeah, so basically you can just specify them in those marker, and then those will be generated when you build those the CRDs. When you build the manifest, and then it will be there. So let me see, where's the other one? Okay, I think it's a snapshot. Let me go to snapshot for volume snapshots, right? So here, if you go to volume snapshots, there's one place. Well, we have, right, for example, here, right, you have persistent volume claims, volume snapshot name. So those two, you just specify one of them, right? You see that initially I had something, this is actually, I added this one manually, but now you can have those markers, or those will be generated. And then also you don't need to have other things. So, and then they are also immutable. And also there's this size thing, I think, as well, yeah. So it cannot be empty. So there are things that now you can do automatically using those markers now. So she basically submitted PR for that. But the only thing is, once we make this change, then there is a requirement for Kubernetes. Minimum Kubernetes version is 1.25. So I don't know if that's a problem for folks. If you don't want to use this, then you can still use the older version, which is still works. So it's not like it's not working. This is just using a new way to enforce those rules, basically. But after this one, the minimum version is 1.25. We have been keeping the minimum version 1.20. I know that's kind of old, but that's when we moved the snapshot to GA. But now it's 1.25. If you want to use those rules, basically. Okay, does anyone have any concerns? Otherwise, I think we should move forward with this. No
Nope.
concerns? All right. Okay, yeah, I think that's the right way to do anyway. Oops. Okay, so the next topic, water replication, we discussed this a few times in a few meetings. So I have a few questions I want to clarify, because I was just looking at compare the three approaches, right? Just want to look at differences when we establish and break a replication pair. So look at the DAOs design. So the source PVC will be added. That's only at the creation time, right, Tom? So you don't create a PVC first and then make that enable replication later. It's kind of one step, right? You have to, that has to happen at creation time, is that right?
Is this the question around groups?
Oh, this is
Go.
Just for how do you establish the, I mean, it's not just a group, even just to enable this, enable the replication sounds like it's at creation time, is that right? For hotel? Well, I could have missed something. I don't know. I was just looking at the DOS, but it's Tom. there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking
Oh,
yet.
I was, okay, so I see.
I think the question is, can you create a volume and then later decide to replicate it, or do you have to specify when you create the volume that it will be replicated?
You have to specify when you create the volume that it's replicated. It's done in the storage class.
Okay, yeah, so that's how my understanding by looking at this. Yeah, this is actually very clear, the sequence diagram. Yeah, because I just see those are the differences. Sounds like I see the differences between this and then NetApp. I see the source PVC created first, then there's this Trident mirror relationship created, and then at that time this remote PVC can create. Sounds like so.
Yeah, that's because on NetApp hardware, the replication is just a relationship that gets established and can go
Later.
away and come back, and you can have multiple of them, and it's just, you know, the replication relationship is a thing that exists outside the volume. It consumes the volume.
So if you delete
It's
this
not-
one, then they will be gone. Is that right? Is that how that works? If you delete this one, then
No,
that
no, but like you can have two volumes, one replicating to the other, then you can break the relationship. And now
Right.
you actually have two volumes that are unrelated to each other, and both of them can establish replication relationships with entirely different volumes.
Okay,
And
yeah,
so on and so on, right?
yeah. So you do have this,
Theoretically, we could do that, but that's kind of crazy. So,
okay, so
um,
basically in your case, it's just you do that at the creation time and then
right.
The-
The hardware could, in fact, take volumes out and put them in different replication groups, I guess, but we didn't elect to support that or even think about the need for that.
yeah, I remember at least the SRDF actually you do the established pair later. That's how I remember it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Words enabling application after. Register. That's a difference, but it's actually, but it is possible because those are the decisions we need to make if we want to do something, want to design something. Those are the decisions whether we want to allow that or not. And then IBM looks like they also have some. They also can create first, and then they created this volume replication to enable that. That's my understanding. I was looking at. This is the one. It sounds like you see the initially here, right? They create a volume replication. Then they don't even have anything on the right-hand side, the remote side. And then it sounds like this PVC and the volume replication on the right-hand side only happened when you start to do a failover. Then you set it as primary or something. But then by then your left-hand side, this is no longer primary, but I think they still exist. I don't think they delete them. So
Which slide deck are we looking at?
oh, this is, sorry, I'm just comparing three. This is the Red Hat IBM one.
The Red Hat one, okay.
Yeah. I was just trying to remember, but this has been a long time, so I'm just looking at this one. Sounds like, you see in the beginning you have left-hand side, you have PVC, and then you create the volume replication, right? This time, looks like on the array, they get replicated, but they don't really have anything on the right-hand side in the cluster yet, right? And then once you say, I want to do a failover, at that time, the PVCs will be created on the right-hand side, the West cluster, Kubernetes cluster West. Volume replication will be created here, and then this become the primary. So I was saying at this time, the new primary is the West, the East become secondary, but then at that time, actually both sides will have the PVC and the volume replication. So at this time, they have both exist. Yeah. Although in the beginning, looks like just one. Sounds like it's based on this one. I don't know if my understanding is correct, but sounds like that's the case.
I mean, it may have been the case that they didn't want the secondary PVC to be available because it's not going to be writable, and that's confusing to people. So possibly what Red Hat does is after you break the relationship and reestablish it in the reverse direction, they might go delete the old PVC until you break it again, and then they recreate it so that you never have a PVC which is unwritable.
But they didn't
Maybe.
show that, right? That's the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. I don't remember.
Not
It's been
sure,
years
yeah.
since they did the presentation.
Yeah. No, that's not clear. I just suspect they
if
don't. Huh?
Xing, if the PVC were defined in the right-hand side cluster, it could be dynamically provisioned by something else. It's better, safer to not have something.
But this one, yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying this is I was just looking at their diagram. They actually did this. Looks like you
Yeah.
see at the research time they did it. Yeah, but yeah, you're saying you don't know, someone just created something with the same name, then yeah, that's the problem, right? That's true too. We don't know.
Yeah, but the software can work around that.
Right, they
The
probably have a
software can-
controller that should be making sure that.
But they can ensure that the right PVC and the right PV get created and bound and et cetera, if they really want to.
I guess, yeah.
Right.
I don't know the provisioning part that.
Yeah. They can do something. Yeah, they can do something there. And then, but this one, yeah, I don't know. And then I'm confused with this one. You're talking about the dynamic provisioning. Now this looks like everything is in place when you do dynamic provisioning. So I'm a little confused here. I don't know. Or maybe they're just talking about different approaches. See, so this one, say 1, 2, 3, everything's in place. So
I mean that there's always a scheduling problem when setting up replication, which is where does the secondary go, right?
yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure the way NetApp chose to handle that is you allow the secondary to get scheduled the same way the primary got scheduled. And then after they both landed somewhere, then you establish the relationship.
Right.
If you don't allow a scheduling process to happen with the PVC, then something else has to make that decision so that it ultimately ends up somewhere. And then later, when you come back to create the PVC, you already know where it is. There's no scheduling.
Right.
Yeah, with the NetApp solution, we have an annotation on the destination PVC that points at the trident mirror relationship. So that helps with scheduling the PVC in a location that can be a replication destination. Like it'll find a peered storage
So you
system.
have a special, your customized scheduler for this?
Yeah. So when it comes to when we get the create volume request in Trident, we also look back at that annotation and then take the Trident mirror relationship into account while creating the volume.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same process for scheduling any volume, except you filter out things that can't be the destination of a mirror relationship, right?
Yep,
So the schedule is kind of like inside the driver, right? It's not like a Kubernetes scheduler plugin type of thing, right?
Yeah, because CSI doesn't support that, right? CSI just says create a volume. It's your problem to figure out where.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there are and then when you delete if you delete this one, basically the both PV are still there, but basically the relationship will be gone, the mirroring.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Right. So those are the differences. Yeah, I need to think more. I don't know. That's the best way to do this. And the NetApp does not support the replication group, or do you support it? I forgot that part. This one is just this individual PVC application, but do you also support a replication group underneath, or it's just that's not there at all?
Yeah, currently we don't, but the structure of the trident mirror relationship is designed such that we can add that later without a breaking change. The idea is that the one trident mirror relationship could apply to multiple volumes when we add support for the group replication.
Yeah, and my recollection of group replication on NetApp is it actually gives you stronger guarantees in the sense that different writes to different volumes on the primary side will get mirrored in the correct order to the secondary side. Whereas if you just had a group of volumes getting mirrored to another group of volumes, there's no guarantee around write ordering, right? Like certain volumes can be ahead of certain other volumes if they're not in a group. And typically that's okay. But
Yep,
yeah, if
yep,
you want
that's the key point with the replication or with the consistency group in NetApp is you get write order consistency across the volumes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, and yeah, the annual report that got merged. So okay, so I need to take a closer look of this and see what we can do with application. I would prefer to look at the application group first. So that's something that applies to us.
So Xing, you would like the Kubernetes API to be group oriented from the get-go? That's what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay.
have a replication group.
Okay, because if we go down that path, we're just going to have to write down all of the different rules around group mutability, and I'm happy to help with that. But there's just having done this multiple times, as you know, there's a lot of subtleties around like what no, I mean it's just that you have to be very precise, right? You have to say like this is allowed and this is not allowed, and if we write it all down and like we can get the right level of precision, then we can ask, okay, how many implementations of this can there be?
Yeah.
If the answer is like only one, then that's a bad sign.
That's a no-go, right? Yeah. So you see. Yeah. So we can try and see see who are interested. But this NetApp, you're saying it's actually also possible, right? So maybe you would also would be good if you have a replication group as well for NetApp.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be good to have support for in groups as well. Yep.
Okay, good.
But for NetApp, the vast majority of mirror cases are singletons, right? That's the
true.
So while there is a use case for group replication, it would be weird to have huge numbers of singleton group replication relationships. I mean, maybe that is the way to go forward, but I'm pretty sure that there's like a 90%, 10%, single versus group kind of a split in the real world.
Yeah, that's a good point. We definitely would want the ability to do replication without a group, whether that's implemented as sort of just a group that has one volume at the Kubernetes level, and then in the underlying storage system, there's not actually a group, or if we have a Kubernetes resource for just a bare single volume replication, you could kind of go either way. But it would be additional overhead to have that kind of wrapper group be required.
So in NetApp without a group, how do you tell it you want to fail over? Is that done as an action against PV?
It's an action against the relationship itself. So there's the snap mirror relationship has a failover.
Okay, so the relationship is visible. It's just not a group.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, in our case, the relationship and the group are basically the same object.
Well, my memory of the way NetApp does this is it's basically the same thing. Like if you had a group, it would be one relationship. So the group and the relationship are in a sense the same thing. It's just, again, the dominant style of relationship is a singleton. So So that's how people tend to think about it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so IBM Red Hat, I think their implementation is also warning level, so I don't know if group works for them. Need to check with them as well. Yeah, I think we partly need both. But you know, it's just hard to get even one working, right? So I like to start somewhere. Okay, I think that's all I have today. Are there any other topics we want to go over? Otherwise, you have 20 minutes back. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.